Hello and welcome to the film autopsy of 50/50. This is a film directed by Jonathan Levine from a screenplay from Will Reiser, Hampshire alum. So, woohoo! Go Hampshire! Of Will Reiser. And this is a film that stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, Angelica Houston.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Wonderful cast. This is a movie which on the surface you may be avoiding it because it deals with the topic of cancer. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a young 20-something who has been living a life, very careful life. He doesn't even drive because he thinks actually that there are a lot of people who die out of car accidents.
Too dangerous.
Too dangerous. And he's living a very cautious life, except that he's having some trouble and he goes to the doctor and he finds out that he has a particular form of cancer, which he has to actually deal with immediately. So 50/50, I tremendously enjoyed it. This is one of those films which deals with a topic, with a very serious topic. It relies on the acting talents of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, he's one of the sort of like, I think, one of the most interesting actors around,
and promising,
for
his age, what he's
and his choice of movies has been excellent. And this movie portrays. I mean, it is a comical, yes, because it's a serious topic. So you might think like, no, okay, they may go with a comedy too much, but at the same time, I think one of the wonderful things about the film was that it is at the same time quite sensitive to the topic. And this is one of those things, it's not completely realistic of how people would react to it, but certainly you can imagine that the character of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, if he finds out that he has cancer, how he would react to it. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and despite your reservations that, it's a cancer film, I would suggest do give it a chance. It's really wonderful and very enjoyable.
I feel similarly, although not as enthusiastic. I will say the casting was great. Another cast member that we left out, who I thought was perfect, was Anna Kendrick as his therapist that he can go to speak to about his changing health conditions and all the fears and concerns he has as he's facing this particular surgery to try to get rid of the cancer. I think Will Reiser wrote a fantastic story, fantastic screenplay, and they brought in a great cast of characters. I think the film falls or fails due to its directing. I do agree to some extent it's a good balance of humor and seriousness revolving around this rather touchy subject. But overall, the film, I think, is kind of directed in a rather slap-hazard way. It's set in Seattle, yet it's shot in Vancouver, and you can tell it's Vancouver, but except he's wearing a Mariner's cap. And there's really no importance to the sense of place. And that's fine, but don't, kind of pretend that you're setting it somewhere and that's important when it really is not important to the script at all. Also, some of the progression of the story, the relationship between Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's his kind of loose cannon stoner friend, which is a nice way to bring in comedy relief into this rather, sensitive topic. But it's a little overboard, and I wouldn't say there's a falling out, but there's a point in which Seth Gordon kind of fails to show up to drive him to an important appointment, and so Angelica Houston, who plays Joseph Gordon-Levitt's mother, there's been a bit of animosity between the two of them, or particularly from the son's part to the mother. He doesn't want to trouble her too much, thinks that she's over-worrying the situation, and so this whole little falling out with Seth Rogen just creates this gap within which Angelica Houston can kind of come in and start to look after her son, and I thought that was just really clumsy. So overall, I think go see it for the performances, but I wasn't that impressed. If Will Reiser went to Hampshire, then Jonathan Levine, I don't know where he went. Maybe.
By the way, I should mention that Kevin is from Seattle, so there may be a sort of like a personal element to it. I think here emotions are taking over.
As Al Pacino said, it's not personal; it's just business. This film reviewing is just business.
The other thing I should mention that this is based on a real life experiences actually of Will Reiser. I mean, he did experience this very sort of unusual form of cancer, which I forgot actually.
And his good buddy at the time was Seth Rogen.
Right. So they actually, and in fact, they did go through that. So I mean, I think that is an element, and I personally think that is perhaps the reason why there is a small details in the film are good. And there is this realistic element. I know that there is a comic relief, and that actually takes it into a different category. But overall, I think that way of sensitively dealing with that topic, I think, comes from the fact that it was a real thing. He did deal with this issue, and there are a couple of points. There is a wonderful scene. This is not a movie where you just say, oh, well, you know, cancer, everybody gets along. And you know, here is a case where here's a feel-good story, how you can overcome cancer or do that.
It's definitely not the Ron Howard version of a cancer film.
And in fact, there is a brief interlude of three older cancer patients, or actually two older cancer patients that are with Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he goes. And he's the youngest
Get his chemotherapy.
For his chemotherapy. There are other two people in there. And those two people, even though they are there for, I think it's Philip Ball who plays one of the older guys, and they are there for a brief period of time, but I think they are pivotal in the film, because that is what anchors the film, that, you know what, you can pretend that cancer is not serious or whatever, but the way those characters are brought into the film, the way their characters reflect on Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think those were key anchored scenes, and they were essential in there.
And it's a real strength to it because, you know, as Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is going through this transition in terms of coming to terms with the fact that he has cancer, a rather serious form of cancer, his friend Seth Rogen is there, but he doesn't quite understand. His girlfriend, Bryce Dallas Howard, is kind of there for him, but she doesn't really understand. His mother doesn't really understand, but she's just overly maternal, and it's with these older cancer patients that he forms this kind of brotherhood, and it's that kind of believability in terms of their dialogue exchanges, the way they get along, how they come to realize things together. It's very well done. So again, I think it's a great story, very well acted and cast. So, I'm 50-50 on it, but.
No, I'm more than that, and I think it's a nice reflection also on death. I mean, I think this is one of those instances where actually you look at it, well,
we're looking at the face of death.
Face of death. I mean, how do you react to it? And this doesn't go into the religious direction. It doesn't go, oh my God, I found God and things like that. In fact, this is one of those movies where it is looking at it. Hey, okay, you know, I am looking at it. I'm not religious. How do I deal with that? How does the family structure comes in? Who helps you or not? And I think same thing goes with Anna Hendrick character, who's a therapist, and he is her third patient, and so that actually makes it very.
Yeah, she's even younger than he is.
And so that film. Her character initially I thought was a little bit awkward, annoying, but I really. As the movie progressed, I really got to like her actually, and the way her character developed. I thought that was also very good.
Well, two actors, I think we will definitely look forward to seeing more of Anna Kendrick and then Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this film. So for that, definitely, I would check it out.
So yes, 50-50, go.